Hello everyone and welcome back to Jake's Space. In the Android world, there are two main smartphones that are available for purchase, that being the Galaxy Watch 5 and the Pixel Watch. There are some other Wear OS competitors out there, but they're not very widely available or used, so we'll focus on these two. Both use Google's Wear OS operating system, but run their own kind of special flavors of Wear OS, just like the difference between a Pixel phone and a Galaxy phone. So I've been using both of these watches for a couple months, on and off for each one. I thought I'd share my thoughts for anyone who's trying to make a buying decision, trying to pick between these two watches. So we're going to dive into that today. Let's go ahead and get started. The Watch 5 was released in August along with the Z Fold and Z Flip 4s, and is the 7th generation of Samsung smartwatches and the 2nd generation using Google's Wear OS. It's available in 40 or 44 millimeter case sizes. The 40 millimeter is available in silver, gold, and black, while the 44 millimeter is offered in silver, black, and blue. My personal pick would either be the silver or the blue. If you're getting the 44 millimeter, I would probably, if you like the gold on the 40 millimeter, I would go with the gold, but I like the silver. It's nice but understated. And the blue, I'm just a big blue fan, so that one's too easy for me. The 40 millimeter Bluetooth version starts at $279, with the LTE version coming in at $329, while the 44 millimeter will cost you $309 for the Bluetooth and $359 for the cellular version. If you purchase the watch through Samsung, you can also customize your watch band. There's quite a few to choose from, and they're all included except for the hybrid leather band, which does cost an additional $10. The design of the Watch 5 is pretty simple, just a flat sapphire crystal screen with an aluminum casing. It does have a home and back key on the sides, which I really like those physical buttons. And then it does have a touch-sensitive bezel around the outside that you can use to scroll through menus and whatnot. Google's first attempt at a smartwatch, the Pixel Watch, was launched in October of last year along with the Pixel 7 series. Between the two, I would definitely say that the Pixel Watch looks better. It's got a beautiful domed glass watch face and stainless steel casing that feels a little more premium than the Watch 5. The Pixel Watch only comes in a 41 millimeter case size. It comes in black, silver, and gold, with the black being matte and the gold and silver being polished stainless steel. The Bluetooth version starts at $349, and the cellular version will run you $399. The Pixel Watch features a scroll wheel, a digital crown, I think is what Apple calls it, much like the Apple Watch, that allows you to scroll through things like your notifications, menus, anything like that. And it also includes a physical button for your recent apps to pull that up. So that's the basics of the two smartwatches, but how do they compare to one another? When it comes to design, I definitely think that the Pixel Watch is the better looking device. Like I said earlier, it's got the beautifully domed glass watch face as well as the nice stainless steel. It's a little more premium than the aluminum on the Watch 5. In addition to the visuals, I really prefer the crown for scrolling. It's a lot more intuitive than using the touch bezel on the Watch 5, and just more reliable than trying to use the touch bezel. It's really not my favorite. Back even as close as the Watch 4, there was the Watch 4 Classic that had the physical bezel that allowed you to scroll through menus. They got rid of the Classic model for this year, and so there's no physical bezel, it's only the touch bezel, and I'm just really not a fan of that. Although for the Galaxy, I do like that they use the sapphire crystal screen. It is a lot more durable than the Gorilla Glass that's on the Pixel Watch. So I would like to give Samsung some points there. I would also give some points to the Galaxy Watch for the availability of different case sizes. And I do prefer the color options on the Watch 5. I think they're a little more fun, while the Pixel Watch is more premium, kind of understated looking cases. I prefer the silver and the blue from the Watch 5. And I do appreciate that you can get different watch bands for free from Samsung as long as you buy the watch from them when you're purchasing the watch. That's pretty cool. But overall, in the design category, I'll have to give it to the Pixel Watch. It just looks a lot better than the Watch 5. Software experience is going to be very subjective. Like I said earlier, The watches are very similar to their phone counterparts, as they have their own little flavor on top of Wear OS. So the Pixel Watch is a little bit more minimalistic, a little more simple, just like a Pixel phone is. It's very smooth, focuses a lot on Google apps like Assistant and Google Calendar, whereas the Watch 5 has a little bit more of a industrial design, not as simple, a little more complications on the watch faces, that kind of thing, which again is very subjective. It entirely comes down to what you value from your software experience. So I can't tell you one is better than the other, because they're doing the same thing. They just have a different way of presenting what they're doing to you. One nice thing about the Watch 5 is that you can replace Samsung's apps with Google's apps. So crucially, you can replace Bixby with the Google Assistant, which is a major plus. Bixby is better than she was before, but still not great and nowhere near the Google Assistant, especially when you're someone like me who has a lot of Google products. It just makes a lot more sense to use the Google Assistant. The Watch 5 still uses the old Tizen OS from the older Samsung smartwatches, their way of navigating around the phone. So swipe to the right will take you to your notifications. A swipe to the left will take you to your tiles for things like health, weather, that kind of thing. A swipe down will take you to your quick settings, and a swipe up will take you to your apps. On the Pixel Watch, a swipe to the left or right will take you to the tiles. They are accessible from either side, and they wrap around, so you can get to either one either way. Swipe down will take you to your quick settings as well, while a swipe up will take you to your notifications. I personally prefer the clean look of the Pixel phone and watch, so for me, the software experience category is going to go to the Pixel Watch, but again, it is very subjective. So if you prefer the Samsung look of things, then you'll prefer the Watch 5 software experience. The two watches have very similar features on the health side, with both offering blood oxygen, heart rate, and ECG, although the Watch 5 does have the capability to monitor your blood pressure, though that is pending approval by the FDA. Health data is available in the Samsung Health app on the Watch 5, and in the Google-owned Fitbit app on the Pixel Watch. I don't love the fact that you have to use Fitbit to track your fitness with the Pixel Watch, and especially because there are some features that are hidden behind the Fitbit Premium paywall. So with the Pixel Watch purchase, you do get 6 months of Fitbit Premium, but after that, it's going to cost you $10 a month to continue that membership. Which for some people it might be totally worth it, and there are some features in there that aren't in Samsung Health, so that is something that you'll have to make your own decision on. I can't tell you whether you're going to use all that extra stuff or not, but that is an option. I just wish that there was, because Google has Google Fit, so they have their own health app that they could be putting this info into instead of putting it into the Fitbit app, which is a little disappointing, but I understand why they did it. Fitbit is a very recognizable name in the fitness tracker space, so it makes total sense why they would do that. I just wish it was all in one place like it is on the Samsung. My biggest gripe with the Pixel Watch is that it doesn't remind you to end your workout. So oftentimes, like whenever I take our dog out, I will start a walking workout just to track it, and then whenever we get back, I have some other things on my mind, like taking his harness off, that kind of stuff, and so I oftentimes forget to end my workout. On the Watch 5, it'll vibrate and it'll let you know that you need to end your workout. On the Pixel Watch, there's no feature like that. So there was one night that I took him out and then put my watch on the charger as soon as we got back in, never ended the workout, and it kept going all night. So I ended up with like a 8.5 hour workout, which wasn't too bad, I guess. It looked great, but it wasn't very real. It wasn't indicative of what I had actually done. So that is a little disappointing. In addition, I do find that when you compare the two, the Pixel Watch does seem to overvalue calories. I suppose it's possible that the Watch 5 is undervaluing them, but I really doubt it. So that is one thing to consider. So I'm going to have to give the health features to the Watch 5. Despite the Fitbit integration and Fitbit being one of the biggest names in the health tracker space. I do find that the Watch 5 is a little easier to use, and if they ever get clearance by the FDA, blood pressure monitoring will be very cool. I'm really hoping that that will come because I think that would help out a lot of people for sure. Now we are on to battery life, and this unfortunately is the Pixel Watch's Achilles heel. The Pixel Watch actually has a slightly larger battery than the 40mm Watch 5, but it is difficult or completely impossible to get through an entire day without your watch dying, or at least getting down to a low enough battery that you need to put it in a battery saver. For instance, I use my watch to sleep track. So last night I plugged it in, had it set on 100 right before we went to bed. And this morning I've woken up, took the dog out. We've been up for about 3 hours and my watch is at 37% battery. So that is terrible. Whenever I had my Apple Watch Series 7, it would probably be at about 85% right now. Watch 5 at this point would probably be at about 70% would be my guess. The Watch 5 and the Pixel Watch, they lose way too much battery during sleep tracking. I don't know what they're doing. The Apple Watch would lose like 5 to 10% at the most. There was one night that my Pixel Watch lost 65% battery during sleep tracking. I have no idea why it's using so much battery. Marques Brownlee said that it's polling your heart rate every second, which is way too much, and there doesn't appear to be any sort of setting to turn that off. I wish there was, but that's just the unfortunate nature of the battery life situation at this moment. I should note that I do use the always on display on my watches. That's something that's just what I want, and it's not worth saving battery life to have that turned off. It's something that is a pretty important part of the smartwatch use for me. Watch 5 battery isn't great. I should note that I do have a 44mm version of the Watch 5, so it does have a larger battery than the Pixel Watch. But in addition, it also has a bigger screen, so it's kind of a give or take there. And it's, like I said, it's not outstanding. I typically end the day with about 30% battery left, which isn't enough to go for another day, but both watches charge relatively quickly, so that's not a super big issue for me. But I do want to get it out there that the Pixel Watch battery life is probably the worst part about it, which if you've seen any other reviews or anything about it, you already know that. But just in case you haven't, just wanted to make sure you knew that. Like I said, it does charge super fast. So typically I'll charge my watch whenever I take a shower. So in that like 10-15 minutes, it usually charges up to almost 100%. So it's not the biggest deal, but it is something to think about if you are concerned with battery life. So when it comes to battery life, I would definitely give the victory to the Watch 5. Our last category is going to be smartphone integration. So either one of these watches will work with any Android device running Android 8.0 and above, but they're best when they're paired with the smartphone from the same manufacturer. So for the Pixel Watch with the Pixel phone, for the Galaxy Watch with the Galaxy phone. I use my Watch 5 with my Fold 4 and my Pixel Watch with my Pixel 7 Pro. I guess I could try using them with each other, but then I have to reset each watch, and it's just a whole mess. So I don't really want to do that because I don't want to lose all the data, because I have my watches set up in a pretty particular way that I don't want to lose. It's possible to back them up, but it's just way too much work. When it comes to integration, Samsung is a master, so the design language is consistent throughout each, the phone and the watch. You get the Samsung Wearable app and the Samsung Health app are both preloaded on every Samsung phone, so you don't even have to worry about going to the App Store and downloading the app. It'll do it automatically for you. Of course, some people are not fans of bloatware. I wouldn't consider this bloatware because it's a usable app, and also they're easily uninstalled, so I don't really feel like bloatware is a problem anymore, but that's a different topic. The Pixel Watch app doesn't come preloaded on the Pixel phones, but it will download once you try and pair the watch. And then, of course, you have to download the Fitbit app in addition to be able to view your health data on your phone. I should note that to use the ECG feature of the Watch 5, you do have to download the Samsung Health Monitor app, which is only available on Samsung devices, which is pretty disappointing. I wish you could get that on any phone. But I'm sure that's kind of an Apple style ecosystem thing. What's disappointing about the Pixel Watch is that whenever you set your phone to do not disturb, that doesn't carry over onto the watch. So one of the big times that I use this is at night. So on my Watch 5 and on my Fold, whenever it gets to 11:30, it puts my phone in bedtime mode, and that applies to both the phone and the watch. Dims the screen. For the watch, it just turns off the screen. You can only wake it up by pressing one of the buttons. And that same mode is available on the Pixel and the Pixel Watch, but if I turn it on the Pixel, it doesn't turn it on the watch, which is pretty disappointing. And in addition to that, the necessity of using the Fitbit app for the health monitoring really makes it feel like it's not a cohesive Pixel ecosystem experience. So for smartphone integration, I'm going to go ahead and give that to the Watch 5. When it really comes down to it, the Pixel Watch and the Watch 5 are both great smartwatches, and a lot of the buying decision comes down to which ecosystem you're in. So if you use a Pixel phone, I would definitely recommend getting the Pixel Watch, as long as you aren't too concerned about battery life. If that's a big issue for you, I don't think that the Pixel Watch would be the best option for you. And of course, if you're using a Samsung phone, then I would definitely recommend getting the Watch 5s. That's going to be the best integration for your phone, and you're going to get the best experience. I would say that the Watch 5 is probably the choice for other, like if you have a OnePlus, or LG doesn't make phones anymore. Motorola, if you have a Motorola. If you have a non-Pixel, I would say go with the Watch 5. The Pixel Watch, I'm really excited to see what they do with the next one. I think that the next one could be great. I'm really hoping for different case sizes, bigger battery, better battery life just in general. I think with that, it could become a really compelling smartwatch for all Android users. But at this point, I would say if you're not a Pixel owner, I would go with the Watch 5. If you're a Pixel owner, you might still even go with the Watch 5. I think the Pixel Watch is great, but if you're concerned about battery life, I would say go with the Watch 5 and be ready for the Pixel Watch 2, because I think that's going to be an outstanding device. If you have any feedback for me, I would love to hear it. I'm really enjoying doing this, and I hope you're enjoying it as well. I should have a podcast out for the news of the week. Basically what I'm going for here is doing one YouTube video a week, and then a podcast that is the news of the week. So that's available on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, as well as Google Podcasts, but I don't know who uses that. So that is just Jake Space, if you look that up, or there's a link in the description here. And I hope y'all have a great week, and I will see y'all next week.